Smart strategy, real conversations, bigger margins. This is Chasing the Margin podcast.
All right, welcome back to Chasing the Margin. Today we have Mr. Blake Drury. Blake, appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Troy.
So, Blake, give me a little bit about who you are, what you have going on, why you're on the podcast.
Name's Blake, as Troy mentioned. I'm the owner of Horseshoe Landscape and Construction. We are at the moment, a very interesting design build firm. We really have two sides to the business. One side is commercial and residential concrete construction. So think foundations, flat work, vertical walls, and that crosses both sectors, both commercial and residential. So residential foundations, commercial foundations, and vertical walls and flat work, so parking lots, sidewalks, back patios, pool decks, things of that nature. The other side of the business is landscape construction, so pools, patios, and outdoor living.
Cool. So Blake and I met through a unique experience for me. I don't know if you remember Blake, but my wife reminded me as I was coming up here.
Yeah.
Blake and I met bull riding. So
we sure did. Oh my man, that was okay. We sure did.
So for a little more context, it was not technically a live bull, but we were riding.
Well, for the podcast, we'll say it was.
Yeah. So we were both riding an electric bull after a Cowboys game.
Yep.
Got to chatting, and
here
we are,
man.
It was a great night.
That was about 4 years.
Something like that.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, several years ago. Yeah, that's. I'm really glad you brought that up because that was a great night, and I completely forgot about that. That is, I was thinking about that earlier. I was like, yeah, I know. I couldn't remember if that was the night we met or if we had met previous from that, and we had met you at the game.
Yeah.
But no, we met you that night. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Alex was like, we just got along so well that it just seemed like we had known each other. So that's why you can't remember. It just
yeah. It's one of those things that kind of, you forget about and you just move on, but the people are so great that's really all that mattered.
That's right. So I think that's just another instance we talk about all the time on the podcast, how you can meet, whether it's friends, vendors, clients, just pretty much anybody, anywhere. We even talked shop a little bit that night with what we both do. Yeah. And I think that it's good reminder for people to know, like, hey, you never know where you meet people, and you never know what that relationship will end up being.
It's, my mom always said, if you don't show up to class, you never know what you're missing. And I think you can apply that to life. You go out, and if you go to leave your house, you never know who you may meet.
That's right.
I mean, you may meet your next business partner. You may meet the guy that puts you on the map for X, Y, and Z. You may meet your next biggest customer. You may meet the love of your life. You never know. But that's especially in a city like Dallas.
Yeah.
There's just a mix of so many people. You never know who you're going to meet.
So did she tell you that because you weren't going to class, and she said, Blake, you should go to class because you never know who you'll meet?
That's exactly right. And she always told me, because if you don't go to class, you're going to end up construction like your uncle. And here we are.
So that leads me into one of my first questions, Blake, and maybe that's the answer. It's kind of a general, why did you get into construction in the first place?
Man, what a question. Why don't I give a short, brief story about how I got into it? And it's and I say short and brief, it's probably 10 minutes is the short version. So, it started back in school. Mm-hmm. Okay. I was at LSU, and we had experienced what they called, a 1,000-year rain event. Okay. It rained 34.5 inches in 3 days.
Oof.
Yeah. It was unbelievable. I had friends out running rescue. It was the whole Louisiana Cajun Navy situation going on. Mm-hmm. Super cool. It was really awesome to see everybody come together, and they ran rescue for days. Mm-hmm. And I really wanted to go. I really enjoy that stuff, being in the action, helping others. I've always enjoyed that. And so I was trying to get on one of the rescue teams, and essentially they're like, hey, at the moment we're full. I mean, I had me and 2 or 3 other buddies that were looking to do the same thing. We could never quite get in, but we did help in some aspect of that. But long story short, I kind of turned the needle over to, well, can I make some money off this? Look, that sounds bad, okay, but it's so. I knew so little about construction. I did not understand how sheetrock was attached to a wall. That was my level of understanding of construction, 0. And long story short, I had actually, I was a broke college kid. I think I had like $112 in my bank account at the time.
Hey, that was pretty rich for a college kid.
Yeah,
back
right.
then.
Back in
You were
16.
rolling.
Yeah, I was rolling. That was big money back then. Yeah, I could put more than 10 in my gas tank for the weekend.
Yeah, that's right.
So I headed over to Kinko's. Okay.
Yep.
And I print out some flyers. And what I did is I went door to door through this neighborhood that had gotten about 3.5 feet of water in it, and I door to door, and I said, hey, look, I'm a student at LSU, and what we do, like I had some business. I had a piece of paper and $112, 100 and I think 90 when I left Kinko's.
Yeah.
That was a big investment into the demo business back then. And I walked this neighborhood, I knocked doors, I introduced myself, and I said, hey, what we're going to do is we're going to come in and we're going to cut your sheetrock at a flood cut, essentially is what they call it. Sheetrock is, roughly 4x8, and depending on how it's hung, you can find the cut about 4 foot up the wall. And this house had about 3 foot of water in it, so that was about right. We came in, we did a flood cut in the house. We took all the insulation out, all the flooring, all their furniture out, and for about 9 or 10 days, B&D Demo existed in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So I got this little taste of entrepreneurship, and man, ever since then it was. I couldn't let it go. And this was the beginning of my final semester. So 9 days, 10 of my buddies, 14-hour days. This is all we did, and we went down this street and we helped a bunch of wonderful people, and that was kind of how this all began. I graduated, and my uncle was in the underground utility business. And after school, I was actually working for Target, funny enough. That's a story in of itself. But I was working for Target, and actually got fired from Target, if you can believe that. Best thing that ever happened to me.
Yep.
And he said, hey, he goes, why don't you and your mom start a landscape business? I said, sounds great. I don't know anything about landscaping, though. I said, but I can dig a hole. I said, I'm young, I'm in shape. I said, let's do it. And long story short, 9 years later, we're doing elevated concrete decks that 3, 4, 5 floors of apartment complexes sit on. And there's obviously a ton in between, obviously, landscaping and where we're at today. But that's kind of the short story of how I ended up doing what I do today.
That's cool. So did you end up actually working with your mom at the beginning, or did you branch out by yourself?
We did. So me and mom started together.
Okay.
I love my mother. Decided I did not want to be in business. So I think we both were kind of like, we don't know if we're loving this. And I love my mom to death. She actually, still to this day, owns her own landscape company.
Oh, cool.
That does extremely well. And so we decided to separate towards the end of our first year. And we just ran our own businesses. I was more drawn to the hardscape side of the business. Mom was a lifetime gardener and a master gardener for over 20 years. Mm-hmm. So, she knew this stuff like the back of her hand. She had been asked throughout the years, hey, Melanie, will you come to our yard? We love your yard. We love your landscape. And it was something that she had done really just as a hobby and because she enjoyed it and just to help her friends. Never did it, in a business aspect. And so, but we kind of separated, and we still to this day do a ton of business together. I help her with a lot of her hardscape stuff, and she does design build like I do. Mm-hmm. And we have an incredible relationship, and she's doing awesome, and we're doing great. And that was what needed to happen, though, is we decided to separate, and it's worked. It's worked really great.
So you've explained this to me once, and you can re-explain it to me again.
Yeah.
But design, build, and then hardscape, those two terms, it's a common thing that you say, but definitely me and a lot of the other listeners, I'm sure, don't recognize the terminology. Explain to me what the difference is.
So, outdoor living, I would call that a category. And outdoor living encompasses patio covers, pools, and landscape.
Okay.
Okay. Hardscapes versus softscapes, which I'm sure softscapes is pretty easy for the listeners to maybe gather, but I'll touch on that. But that's mostly just the planting side of a project.
Okay.
So your literal plants, mulch, sprinklers, and edging. That's kind of softscapes, and edging can fall into the hardscapes category. Hardscaping is retaining walls, paver patios, your pool deck, your dirt and grading. Your drainage could be considered hardscape as well.
Okay.
Okay. And that there's some things that cross into softscapes and go back and forth, but hardscaping traditionally is pavers and walls. And here in Dallas, we actually have a decent amount of elevation. Most homes have some form of retaining wall on them and a back patio.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how we classify the hardscapes versus, I guess, it was outdoor living you asked, correct? It was,
Yep.
Yeah. Outdoor living is kind of the tip of the pyramid, and then hardscapes and softscapes falls underneath that.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And then when you introduce yourself, you said you do landscape and then concrete is the two sides of the business?
Correct.
So everything regarding the hardscapes would fall under the landscaping side, but then concrete, does that still fall in the same category, or is that something completely different?
So that's a great question. When I say we do, the reason I designate is because we do have in-house self-perform teams. So we self-perform concrete construction. On the landscape side, or the outdoor living side, we do still use a lot of subcontractors. Mm-hmm. We have great teams of masons. We have turf specialists if you want artificial turf. I have an incredible landscape lighting team. I've got a great irrigation crew. Some of these categories or trades we do self-perform in-house depending on scale and schedule. But within the hardscapes or the outdoor living side, Horseshoe self-performs concrete on those projects. But I designate that we are a concrete company on one side of this business because we perform a lot of concrete construction for other hardscape and outdoor living companies.
I got you.
So we act as a general contractor within the business. We also operate as a subcontractor to other contractors.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of an interesting situation, but it's seemed to work really well for us.
Yeah, I've learned with working with a lot of people in the construction space in general that there's a lot of helping each other out and a lot of people involved in the whole process, regardless of how big or small the actual development is. It seems to be a lot of people involved.
It's a lot of hands.
Yeah.
It's maybe one of the most difficult, while also maybe one of my favorite things about the business.
Yeah.
With a lot of hands in the pot, you get a lot of creativity, you get a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience, but you also get a lot of failure points. I mean, people are failure points. We're not perfect. We make mistakes, we forget things, we don't order material, we miss meetings, all these things. But I mean, you're 100% correct. There's a lot of people involved in this stuff.
Yeah. So definitely a lot of knowledge in your space. You dropped some knowledge on me while I was prepping for this that was maybe something that I didn't know. So I was looking through Instagram, and on a 2018 post that you posted on Horseshoe, it says, if you don't have a Mini yet, you're working too hard. So I, as a CPA, need to go buy a Mini because I'm working too hard. Is that what I'm gathering?
That's what you got that right. That's exactly right. No, man, in my business,
okay, so clarification.
Not in the accounting business, just to clarify. Listen, we absolutely could not do what we do without our incredible team. The guys that we employ are some of the hardest working, most dedicated people I've ever worked with. I have employees that have worked with me for 6, 7, 8 years. I have 2 or 3 that I'm not sure they've missed 2 days.
Wow.
And I mean, they show up every single day with a great attitude and a smile on their face. But at the same time, equipment also shows up every day and makes their job much easier. So that's kind of what that post was.
Yeah. I enjoyed the post. Maybe we'll share it the week we release the episode, because watching you ride this little mini skid steer and one of the guys having to sit on the front because you couldn't get it up these
we're
stairs.
going up the stairs? Yeah. That was tight access is something we deal with a lot, and that's a great video explaining tight access.
For sure. So going back to the concrete side of things, concrete is just mixing the powder in the water and just pouring it in the ground. It's that simple, right?
Right. That is exactly all there is to it. So what is concrete? It is cement powder. It is sand and gravel mixed together. And without getting too much into the nitty-gritty and into the science of it, when concrete is curing or hardening, it is a chemical process happening. And there is an entire world about the science of concrete and how it's used in everything from a sidewalk or the 50th floor of a skyscraper when it comes to lightweight decking.
Are there different types of concrete used for those, I would assume?
There is. Yes, there is tons of admixtures. We can slow down the curing process of concrete. For example, we're entering the summer here in Dallas. It's going to be 105 out at 8 a.m. before we know it.
It almost is already.
It almost is already, yeah. So there's tons of admixtures that we can add to the concrete that affect its properties and how it finishes for us in the wintertime. We have an admixture that allows the concrete to cure more rapidly. So, for example, if we were to pour at 8 with no admixture, we could go home and see our families and eat lunch and come back, and it would still not be ready to finish. It just takes a long time. I mean, temperature has a huge effect on concrete. In the summer, we add a retarder to slow down that chemical reaction because it's
so hot.
It's so hot. It actually is curing too quickly. Concrete, if it cures too quickly under high temp, it actually does not have time to let's see if I can spit this out. Molecularly bond to itself, and as it cures, and this is a standard. This is the word I'm looking for is escaping me. But concrete, whether hot or cold out, as it cures, it shrinks. Okay. So if it is shrinking and it has not had time to truly bond to itself, it is going to peel itself apart and crack. So this has happened one time. It's happened to every guy ever that's poured concrete. And if you meet anybody that says this hasn't happened, they're lying to you. It actually was probably 5 summers ago. And the worst customer to happen to, a good buddy of mine.
Oh, no.
We were trying to squeeze it in for him, and it was a late Thursday summer afternoon, about 3 o'clock. It was probably 105, 110 out. And the concrete truck from the plant had got hung up in traffic. And
so you were running late?
We were running late, and he had been in traffic for an hour and a half.
Oh, and the concrete had been sitting in the truck.
Sitting in the truck. And as we are finishing the concrete, I'm standing there. Finishers are doing what they do best. It is literally cracking on us live in front of us across it.
That's got to be a bad feeling.
It's not a good one. Yeah. It got torn out shortly after. So, but yeah, there's a ton that goes into concrete. There's different strengths of concrete. We have a concrete mix that we use. We service a chicken factory here in town. I call it the Chicken Factory. They're a chicken production facility.
Okay.
They sell to Burger King, Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, things of that nature. And they have a loading dock area that about 3 times a year, we slowly have been working our way across this parking lot, replacing it.
Wow.
It's been failing. It's probably 40 or 50 years old. And we have a TxDOT bridge spec mix. Okay, so it's a Department of Texas certified mix from our supplier. And it is a bridge deck spec. So it's what they use for bridge decks. Okay, so you'll see them pouring that late at night for your overpasses, things of that nature. And this mixture is designed to be driven on by heavy traffic, so commercial rated traffic after 48 hours.
Okay.
Traditionally, an apartment complex parking lot, a shopping center parking lot, those are usually a 3,000 or 4,000 PSI mix, and they have a 7-day waiting period. Okay, so remember, as concrete needs to cure, and as it cures, it gets stronger.
Yeah.
So generally, the general rule of thumb is about 7 days in, you've reached a strength great enough for vehicular traffic on it.
Does it continue to strengthen even after the 7-day period, though?
It does. Yeah, concrete continues to cure all the way until day 28, and then that's when it's usually meets its design, its rated PSI. So let's say it's at a 4,000 PSI mix. Day 7, you may see like 3 to 3,500.
Okay.
And then the goal is by day 28, we're at 4,000.
And do you actually measure it after it's done? Like, how do you know that it's there?
That's a great question. So we take cylinders, okay, and it's literally, we have testing labs on commercial projects. Residential, it's very rare to see this. Maybe large residential foundations on high-end homes. Some of the GCs will ask for it. It's a great insurance policy, not only for us, but for them as well. It shows that we did our job. And we take these plastic cylinders that are about 5 inches in diameter and about 10 inches long, and the truck shows up and the testing lab is there, and we take a wheelbarrow out of the chute and we fill these cylinders up. We top and level them, and usually we take about 6 of them, and they do compression tests on them, and that's how they do a crush test. So on day 7, they crush a cylinder, and that gives you your PSI rating, and then at day 28 they'll do it. And some require all the way out to like 60 days. Concrete's still curing into the 40, 50, and 60 day mark, but really your important number, and it's designed to reach its rated PSI at day 28.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
So it sounds like the reason that it's mainly on like commercial or high-end residential is because I imagine that process is probably a little pricey to get done, and that's why it's kind of reserved for that. Those types of projects. It is
to some degree. It's most of it is. A lot of it is geared towards the insurance side, and quality control as well. I mean, mistakes happen at concrete plants often. We've been really fortunate. We've maybe only had one oopsie. But there's been lots of times where, it's been the wintertime and retarder got added in
instead of
an accelerant. And you've got a slab that gets poured for a home that 24 hours later you still can take your hand and push into it. So I mean, so the testing side protects you from situations like that.
Yeah.
But that's generally why the cost, and then I guess fewer eyes on the job on residential. So,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So going back to the chickens.
Yes. Yeah.
You said that particular job that you guys have been working over a period of time, that actually is ready within 48 hours to be driven on.
Correct.
So what makes that different from like the standard 7-day? Is there extra stuff that's put in that concrete pour? Is it a specific design of concrete? What exactly is it?
So, without boring the listeners too much,
We talk to us about the chickens.
right,
So,
right. We can. Yeah, I'll tell you about the frozen chicken that gets processed through this place. Yes, it has a high cement content. It also has a lot of admixtures that help accelerate that chemical process of curing and bonding the concrete to itself. So it's an incredible mix design. I mean, it is. We have probably 3,000 to 5,000 square feet in that parking lot. It's not a large. It's a 7-bay. It's a 7-bay dock. So they run about 50 to 60 semis in and out of there. Almost 1 million pounds of chicken each day.
Wow.
Which is it's unbelievable. And but we have little to no cracking, and they hammer it every day. 50, 60 semis, and it's done great. It's been a great mix. Our supplier, I almost exclusively use one supplier just because of how, when you get to concrete, is the actual supply side of it is such a big deal for us. When you find somebody you trust, man, it's really hard to give. There's tons of great companies in town, tons of great suppliers, but we have one we really love, and we stick with them because I trust them. Yeah. I know it's a good product, and I'm not going to have to go tear it out. I know it's going to be on time. I know it's not coming to me. I'm not getting a truck that's been on the road for an hour and a half because their driver stopped to get fuel or a drink or so. But it's in short, high cement content. That's how and admixtures is how we're changing the PSI of it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So in general, with concrete, this is probably a little different because it's driven on so much. But is there a standard length of time? And I'm sure it also differs on the usage of it, like a house versus a road or something like that.
Yep.
But how long does concrete typically last? Is there a period where you just say, hey, after so many years, we probably will have to replace this? What does that look like?
So that's a great question. So the concrete is only half of your product that you're buying. When you get a driveway, you get a slab, you build a building, the dirt below it can play a huge factor. And how long, and your subgrade is what we call it. The dirt is what we call our subgrade. How the subgrade is prepared and compacted and the type of soil plays a massive role in the success of concrete.
Okay.
The expansion and contraction of dirt is incredibly powerful. It's the earth, right? That sounds silly, but here in town, for example, there is a section of town, Irving, is notorious. It is considered to have some of the worst soil in the country. In the commercial world, we have geotech reports, and the geotech report actually it's somewhat what it sounds like. It is a report of the earth below the job. They drill borings and they take samples all the way down to 40 feet in some instances if we can, if we don't encounter rock before that. And in this geotech report, we have something called the PVR, which is the potential vertical rise. And that is the rate and distance the soil expands and contracts throughout the year.
Okay.
In Irving, there are areas where the dirt throughout the year will expand and contract 12 to 14 inches.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So how does a house stand on that? Or does a house not stand on that?
It doesn't. It doesn't. And I have a really cool, I have a little short story. So our drilling company that we used to drill shafts, and I'll answer your question on how you asked, how does a house survive on that? It doesn't.
Yeah.
And this is the story. This is a short story about of what it does to them. So back in, I believe it was about 10 or 11, my drilling contractor, I was chatting with him one day. He's an engineer and he does sales and design for them. And my drilling contractor drills all the concrete shafts for us on our commercial jobs. And we were, at the time, I was on a project in Irving, and it's a pier and beam foundation. And we were discussing shaft depths and the issues and kind of some of the nuances of without getting into the weeds of slab design and construction in that part of town.
You were being nerdy concrete guys?
We were being nerdy concrete guys. We were just wearing it out. We talked for almost an hour about this, and he goes, I have a great story for you. I said, all right, let me hear it. He goes, back in 11, we had a contractor build a home, about a 5,500 square foot house, all single story, so big slab.
Yeah.
$2.5 million house at the time.
Oof.
And new development, and essentially the contractor completely ignored the engineering report and did what we call a slab on grade, okay, which a slab on grade is literally we're pouring concrete on the dirt.
Yeah.
Right? It's direct contact. And long story short, the PVR for that neighborhood was 12 inches. And within a year, it had literally broken and cracked the house slab completely in half. The beams, the floor, the framing, the entire house was demoed.
Wow.
It was a complete structural failure of the foundation. That's how powerful and important the dirt is below a slab.
So this brings me to one of my questions for you.
Yeah.
And I would imagine there's got to be some form of a lawsuit associated with that by ignoring it. But talk to me specifically with what you do on like the insurance side of things.
Yeah.
How do you insure jobs? How does insurance work for you? I've been involved with enough of the clients that are in some type of construction to know that insurance is not always the funnest part of their job.
It's not. But but arguably probably one of the most.
Yeah. So how do you insure your jobs? What exactly is good about it? What frustrates you about it?
You know, insurance is for us it's an interesting part of our business to some degree. I've learned quite a bit. I probably should learn more. But we carry I believe it's a $2 million, $1 million policy. And really in the last 2 to 3 years, we've changed brokers, and Russ, my agent, is, man, for construction is a very unique business. And I think that could be said about really any business, right? And, but my agent he's been doing, construction insurance for almost 20 years. And he was on the underwriting side and then came to the agent side.
Yeah.
So he just has a wealth of knowledge that not that other agents don't have, but they don't have the underwriting experience. And so he's like, man, he goes, he knows what's happening on the back end that a lot of agents just don't get exposed to. And they don't necessarily need to be exposed to it to be a great agent, but it's just he has little insider tips and tricks and knowledge. He goes, because one of my biggest concerns is being underinsured. Mm-hmm. And man, just listening to him help us get insured even better. My agent before was wonderful. It was a she. She had done a lot of construction insurance, and she was a wealth of knowledge for us. And we actually had a incident on a job. No one was injured, not a personnel, but we drilled through a unmarked power line on a commercial job. And we were drilling shafts.
Yep.
And let me tell you, I've never loved paying my insurance bill more than that day.
Yeah, I would imagine the bill on that would be expensive.
It was expensive, and insurance covered it, and that's the purpose. It was an accident. We had gotten locates, and there was some confusion on if it was a private or public line, but being insured was a wonderful day to pay the insurance bill. Circling back, I guess, to your question, asking, what have I learned and how are we insured? We have, obviously all of our vehicles are under a commercial policy. We have a general liability policy that covers accidents and job site related incidences. And then our equipment falls under inland marine, and that's kind of its own separate, interesting insurance policy. It's almost like a declared value policy.
Okay.
If I have something that I believe is hard to replace, or a piece that's, I've seen in the market that maybe is fluctuating, I can actually add value. It's different than you can have declared value policies on vehicles, of course, but you don't really see that much. Most people have a set value by the insurance, agency.
So is the declared value by you?
It's by me.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm in general, I have a touch more than I believe replacement is, just because over the last couple of years, I mean, the cost of equipment, I think it was like a month or two ago, I was looking at it compared to pre-COVID times, like 19. I think it's 38.5% average between, vendors, so to speak, between Caterpillar, Bobcat, Takeuchi. I mean, and for a while it was just up and down, and mostly continuing to climb. And so we actually had a piece of equipment stolen, and it was undervalued. I mean, it just over the course of a year.
And you just had to bite the bullet on it?
Yeah, just had to bite the bullet on it. I mean, fortunately, and this is all relative, it was about $5,000 or $6,000, which, it could have been on one of our bigger pieces at the time, it could have been 15 or 20. So I usually overinsure. I'm happy to pay for that. It makes me feel good at night that if something, theft is really our concern. And if it gets stolen, that we can easily replace it without having to write a big check to come out of pocket.
Yeah, well, we talk about this, and I bring it up a lot with guests, where, ultimately you're working hard for partially purpose, but at the end of the day to make money. There's a lot of times what it does. Yeah. And you're really making money to serve other things within your life.
Yep.
And one of those being to give you peace of mind at night.
Yeah.
So, if you saved $100,000 a year, but you stressed every night about your insurance policy, well, is that really worth $100,000? Like, if you can't sleep at night, and then that causes other issues, so now you're just working more because you're so stressed out about it. It's like, what's the point in saving that $100,000 if you have to stress about it all the time?
It's, I think like anything in life, there's a fine line, right? And but for me, exactly like you said, I don't want to worry about it. I want to make sure we are insured for every service that we offer and do. And you really have to find someone that's familiar with your industry, I believe, that can really help you. And our current agent, he's come out to job sites.
So how did you find him in the first place? Because I think that's good. It's always hard to find like a good person that you really trust.
Absolutely. I was really fortunate. I actually got connected with Russ by a friend of mine. And I forget how Russ and Justin met, but they've been friends for a while. And we had actually gone out to the gun range together. And Justin goes, "Hey, you probably should talk to this guy." I said, "Okay, well, why?" besides enjoying his company right now, Russ, what do you do? He's like, "Oh, I'm in the insurance business." And at the time, it was really, really a wonderful connection. And we were looking at a large commercial job that was going to require us to bond. And we had kind of just stepped into that world. And Russ does a lot of commercial bonding.
Okay.
And so that my current agent at the time when I met him did not do that. And so we decided we finished our day, we had a great day, and then we went to lunch a week later. And after sitting down with him, I was like, I got to switch over to you.
Yeah.
I mean, it just gave me back to that peace of mind. I knew if he was writing my policy and had my policy, I was very, very confident that we could go get ourselves into anything that we're doing. And if something unfortunate was to happen, we'd be insured.
Yeah. So I think you could indirectly say that Russ, to a certain extent, helps add to the top line because he gives you that peace of mind to say, hey, I can take on this job because we feel like we're capable enough to do it. But even if there's a little more risk involved than usual, Russ says, we're good on the insurance side, so it allows you to take on some of those jobs.
Absolutely. And I've called him a few times, said, hey, I'm looking at this. You know, can you please check and make sure that this is, if we go to tackle this, we're covered.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Half the time he's like, absolutely, you're already in for that. I got you.
Nice.
So
we've had one guest come on, and I've asked him this question, see if you want to tackle it as well, because I think it's something that a lot of people in construction know, but anybody that's not probably isn't familiar with it. Bonding and the topic of bonding.
Yeah.
What exactly is bonding? Why is it important? Give me as much insight as you want to give me on that one.
Okay. So I don't want to bite off more than I can chew. I've had so many phone calls with Russ. We've probably had 3 or 4 30 or 40-minute phone calls. And I'm like, okay, so it works like this, right? And he's like, you're so close. I'm like, all right, we're just, look, as long as I'm covered, I'm happy. Bonding is essentially it's a guarantee of completion. So I'll give you an example. We had a large commercial job, and when on the private side of the property, generally it depends on the cost and the scale of the job. Okay, this was an apartment complex, about an $18 million job. We were looking at doing the parking garage, and it was essentially a podium, what we call a podium foundation, and the garage was all below the apartment. It was all below ground.
Oh, okay.
So when you pull up to the apartment complex, you're looking at the complex going, man, where's the right park? Backside ramp down below, 2 decks down below it. So in that situation, we had part of our scope was the city sidewalks and the approaches. And to do that, that was City of Dallas. So we had to do a 3-way contract with the City of Dallas, and we had to bond those sidewalks. And essentially what that means is if we were to default or not complete the sidewalks, that they could take our bond, go to our bonding company, and our bonding company is responsible for then going out, hiring a contractor to complete the work and make sure it's done. It's a guarantee that when you sign this contract with us, that it's going to happen no matter what.
And I've heard from the other guests and then from other people that you don't want to make your bonding company have to pay that bill, because when they have to pay it because you didn't do your job, they are not happy.
It's a bad day.
Yeah.
You're going to lose your bonding capacity depending on the scale and the situation. And it could result in legal action. I don't know much about it. I don't want to scratch that too much because I don't know a lot about it, and I hope I never do. But yeah, it's when you get what they call getting your bond called, it's a bad day.
Yeah. It even sounds like a bad thing. You got your bond called.
You got your bond, right. No, the entire situation is very unpleasant. So we never had that happen, fortunately. And hopefully we never will.
Yeah.
So, because at the end of the day, if you're getting a bond called, you're failing to perform the work, whether that is lack of skill set or, maybe the company is in bankruptcy and you can't perform. I'm sure Russ has 50 different stories about why bonds get called, So, not a great day.
Yeah. We'll have Russ listen to the episode and give you a rating on how well you did describing what bonding is.
I'd give myself a C-. Yeah. Be easy on me, Russ.
So one of the things that I always like to ask people, because it applies to so many different people.
Yeah.
I'm sure regardless of industry, this would probably apply to 95% of businesses. And that's the topic of subcontractors. So you mentioned them at the very beginning that you have a few that have been with you, or maybe they're W-2 employees, but you definitely use quite a few subcontractors.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you guys subcontract for some people as well.
Correct.
How do you find your subcontractors? Is there any way that you can vet them? Do you have a process that you like to follow? Because at the end of the day, to a certain extent, you're only as good as your subcontractor.
Absolutely.
So what do you do to help that?
So There's a couple different ways depending on what trade it is. You know, so referrals is my favorite way. So friends in the business, other contractors that I know. You know, there's so much work in this city. There's no way any one person or any one company could tackle it all, of course. So that's my favorite referral. Hey, do you have, my mason's backed up, or hey, I had to let, we can't use them anymore. X, Y, and Z happened. We're not willing to risk moving forward using them. Do you have a referral? Yeah, man, give John a call. Okay, great. That's where I start there. And usually I will ask to go see some of their work.
Okay.
Hey, y'all have an active job site? Look, let's not meet for lunch. Let me come see you at a job site. Come show me, walk the walk, so to speak. Let's go see. And I do the same thing because I'm a subcontractor.
Yep.
And I offer, I say, hey, I would love for you to. I actually tell my opening statement or any statement is, I would really love for you to come see us work. Yep. Don't take my word for it. Come see if you like what we're actually doing, and we'll go check 2 or 3 job sites out and let them see what's going on and how we operate and how I manage and how my team manages themselves, and they get to come see my trucks and our equipment. It's clean, it's tidy. That's a really important thing for me. That's another topic for later. But if I've actually stopped on this is very contractor of me, but I mean I've driven by job sites where work is being performed and literally stopped in and seen something that I really like. I had a steel fab guy that I found. I was driving by. He was doing some fab work on a sign, and at the time I was needing a second option. My current guy was fantastic, but just like in anything, 1 is none and 2 is 1. That's kind of my theory. And I try to stick to that. I really don't give everything in a certain trade just to one team. People get sick. People get busy. They grow. Quality drops. X, Y, tons of factors, right? I need to have, like you said, I'm only as great as my sub team. And so sometimes I'll catch them live in action. And, I'll get their number and, maybe I start them on something small I can take a little risk on that I'm confident. Like, hey, let's use like a mason, for example. Hey, I got a mailbox that got hit and damaged. Can y'all come out and build me a new mailbox? Yep. Something simple that's kind of like the intro into masonry.
Do you tend to overpay on those because they're doing such a small job?
They kind of have a market rate, right? Yeah. That they go for. It just depends on how intricate it is and what material it's out of. But I'll give them an opportunity to do something small, and sometimes I'll even share with the customer. I'll say, hey, listen, my current mason's backed up. I would really love to get this knocked out for you. And it just depends on the customer relationship. Like repeat customers who we know well, I'll say, hey, I got a new mason that's starting, and I've seen some of his work. We've checked job sites, really love it. I just want to let you know that he's new to us, but we've done our fact checking behind him, and we have a lot of confidence in him. I just want you to know that because you haven't seen him on your site before. And I'll share that with them, and they're like, oh, okay, great. They know. People need to understand that we have subcontractors, and to some degree, it's like how what is the other vetting factor other than to some degree giving them a try. Yep. So that's kind of the short of how I find them and I guess give them an opportunity to work for us.
Yeah, it sounds like with subcontracting or with just anything that you're doing in your business, you're just kind of a transparent, like, hey, I'm not trying to hide anything. This is who I am.
Yeah.
If you like it, take it. If you don't, leave it.
Leave it, yeah. and I've never had anybody look at me and go, I don't like that. Most of them are the time, oh, thanks for letting me know. And they're like, look, we trust you. And at the end of the day, they're buying Horseshoe. They're buying me. And, if he messes it up, I have a risk of having to call my other guy. Hey, you got to come fix it.
Yeah.
And it's happened. It's happened. And so, but at this point, we have really 2 or 3 teams for each trade that have been working for us for 3 to 4 years now.
Yeah.
Some of them 7. I mean, I've got a mason that's been working, doing work for us for 7 or 8 years now. And, he's easy to work with, and I trust him, and it's pretty hands off.
Yeah.
If I need him to, not a lot of babysitting, so to speak. He goes in, he does his job, and we move on.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting, the last 2 things that you mentioned for finding subs, because a lot of people, it goes through referrals.
Yeah.
But, stopping at a job site that was somebody that was mentioned to you that you don't really know a lot about, that's really interesting. And then also just driving down the street and seeing somebody working, just, hey, can we chat for a few minutes type situation.
It took a while to get, I'm a talker. I enjoy, people. And so but I mean, one of my best subs was, I literally stopped at a house, and he's a turf sub of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And they were installing turf, and I walked back there and I was like, man, this is probably the best turf job I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, really? I was like, yeah. I was like, man, this looks great. No seams, very clean. Truck and trailer were clean. Guys had shirts on. I mean, it just, the whole thing was, I mean, and it is a pain-free install when I use him. I mean, he makes, like you, circling back to we're nothing without our trades and our subs.
Mm-hmm.
And we self-perform, right? So we offer that to others, right? But on the design build side or the outdoor living side, we use a lot of subs. Customers will want, man, this looks great. I'm like, hey, look, I really appreciate that. I'm glad you're happy, but that guy did it.
Mm-hmm.
I bring it all together. That's the role that I play. But they make us look good.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, I literally stopped and I pulled over and I said, hey, are y'all doing turf back there? He's like, yeah. I was like, can I come see it? He's like, yeah, sure. Come on back. So.
All right. So it sounds like, and anybody that knows you, I'm sure, would probably agree to this statement, that Blake is just somebody who likes to do things in person, that really likes the personal touch and connection of doing business. So let me throw a curveball at you with my next question, because this is something that I was like, man, this is giving me a problem. So I try to look Horseshoe up.
Yeah.
From what I could tell, you guys don't have a website.
We do not. Yeah.
So what was the decision behind that?
Well, it's, right now, 9 years.
Uh-huh.
We have operated purely off of referral. And that's not forever.
Mm-hmm.
But where we are currently operating at, I am at the capacity of that I would like for the moment.
Mm-hmm.
We are prepping to grow. If we were to have a website, we would 3x.
Mm-hmm.
And that's great if we are ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to make that journey one time. And what I mean by that is, when we go to grow, I'm going to stay there. I want to grow to X, X, Y, Z on the revenue scale. Mm-hmm. I don't want to get there and, oh man, golly, this is, and it's chaos.
Right.
And then we have to descale. And so when we go to this next jump or this next tier, we really need to be ready for it. It's a big, big jump. It's a, and I think you could agree with this, but there gets a certain point where you don't go, okay, you hire employee 10 and then 11 and then 12 and then 13, 14. where we're at right now, kind of like the tier that we're bumping up against, is the next step is it's 7 or 8 employees. And the reason I know that is I tried to step up, and when we got there, I realized, oh, this is a bigger step than we thought it was. So we actually did descale. We actually scaled back down. And, everything went great during that time, but it was chaos on my end. 75 hours every Saturday, Sunday evenings working. It was we didn't have a great system yet for the scale for that next step. It was just a big jump. And so it's the website is something that is in the works and is a 2027 item.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have some back of house stuff going. We got a sales team has got to be developed first, and we're working on that.
Yeah.
And so when we go live with that website, I really want to be prepared to service the volume that's going to come in.
Yeah. I think it's really good to realize where you're at, and then also to understand what the scaling is, what the numbers will be, to think through that whole process. Because, I think a lot of people just say, well, they want to grow, and then they just start to try to grow. There's not really a lot of planning to it. There's not a lot of, expectation on, like you said, within construction. I've seen it enough. It's easy for a construction company to go from $1 million to $3 million to $9 million to $20 million to $70 million in those consecutive years. It's just, that's how
it's
construction
not right.
is.
It's not 3 million one year, 4 million,
right,
and 5
it's
million.
Like that.
And it's not like that. It's these big leaps, and probably the biggest mistake I made in my business was, and it wasn't something that I consciously chose or knew was happening, but when I started Horseshoe, I at the time I wasn't really sure what it was going to be or where it was going to go. And so I was not set up as well as I needed to be, just because I just had really no concept of where is this going to go. I mean, you remember how little I knew going into it, and we've been successful because I've had a ton of incredible mentors and people help us. My dad always would say, "Oh, Blake, you're self-made," and I'm like, I'm far from self-made. I've had amazing people that know way more than I do, that I've been very fortunate to meet and just absorb like a sponge from them. Because it's already a tough business, and it's baptism by fire sometimes, and that it can be brutal, man, especially in the concrete business.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think that's all really good insight, Blake. One of the things that I know you do that I want to touch on before we run out of time is, and you've mentioned it a couple of times, you have several friends that are either in similar spaces as you that you do business with, or even some that are not even in anything to do with construction, but you're just friends with a lot of business owners.
Yeah.
What's it like working with some of those people that are either directly working with you on a specific job, or maybe you just scratch each other's backs occasionally?
Yeah.
How's that process been for you?
It's really one of the most enjoyable parts of the job. Getting to work with people who you enjoy being around on a job site and off a job site. When you're going to dinner with the people you work with on a Saturday because you enjoy them, I don't know how you could beat that. And so it's been really wonderful. Some of my closest friends are people that I work with on a weekly basis. My buddy Corey owns Flynn's Lighting. We play golf. We try to play golf once a week, but
you go out there and swing a club.
Right. We give it a old college try. That's for sure. But man, just has become a really close friend of mine. Super sharp, very successful. Runs a great business. Does all of our lighting stuff for us, and you get to work with a great buddy of yours. You can't beat it.
Yeah.
So I've really, really enjoyed it. And a lot of my, I came to the city almost 10 years ago and really knew no one. I mean, my aunt and uncle lived here. That's all. That's the only. And now, who knows how many people I've met and how many great friends I've made. But a lot of them have been through business.
Yeah.
So it's enjoyable. To say the least.
Do you ever have fights, tiffs, headaches with these people? Has it been pretty easy for you?
Yeah, I mean, this is we've had, I don't want to say like a dispute, but like everybody in this business, including us, can have problems. Mm-hmm. Employees can make mistakes. Once again, we circle back to none of us are perfect. And it was one of the very first questions, I think. It was something along the lines of, how the people dynamic, mm-hmm. right? Like there's a lot of people involved in construction or on a singular project. And each person can be a failure point, and none of us are perfect. So, the kid woke up at 3 o'clock and then go to sleep at 6. Well, lead lighting guy forgot to wire up the back 3 lights, and we got a party tonight. Mm. I mean, stuff like that happens. And, but communication and I mean, as you know, you don't have to be angry to get stuff fixed and to get things done. You just have to, you call them, hey, listen, man, it looks like your lead out here forgot to wire these lights up, and we got a party tonight. Man, I got to get somebody out here. Is there, you think you can make this happen? And 99% of the time I'm so sorry, we're on the way.
Yeah. And
so I think it's just how you handle it. So, but we've definitely had, we've had conflict, I guess, if that's what you want to call it, but that sounds aggressive, but we've just had, hey, like, you told me you were coming, and I know, man, I'm really sorry. We got backed up, little things. But I think it's just how you handle it is, people respond well to empathy. Yeah. Shockingly, right? What a surprise.
Yeah. I think giving people, I talked about it this week with some of the staff, just showing kindness to me, I don't know if you've ever heard this, but I've heard people say kindness is really a strength, not a weakness. And I think people misunderstand sometimes that
that's great.
A kind person is somebody who's a weak person. And I think it takes a lot of strength to show empathy in a situation where
frustration is leading.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that doing that, it comes back around. Like that, you showing kindness and showing empathy towards somebody when they did the job wrong and it's really their fault, I think it comes back around to us.
Yeah, I think so. And just once again, I've never gotten, and not that like I would say I've really had to do this, or have done this, but I mean, generally yelling at people doesn't get a great response out of them from what I've found and seen. So, like I said, none of us are perfect. We all have a lot going on in our life, and people have bad days.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had bad days. I've had stuff I've missed. I've had stuff that, as if we were a sub performing on the concrete side where, they told me I had too much going on and I forgot. It's just all there, and it's like, everyone is no one else, everybody, that happens to everybody. So empathy, I try to just look, I understand, but I said, and you can be kind and firm and empathetic with somebody all at the same time. Like those can be, you can be firm and while offering empathy at the same time.
Yeah.
I do believe those things don't have to be, it doesn't have to be one or the other.
Yeah.
So.
Well, as we assumed we would, we're definitely running out of time here. So we'll have to come back and have you on to talk more about some of the other stuff.
Absolutely.
But before we do that, I always like to wrap up with a few fun questions.
Cool.
All right. So what is the best piece of equipment that you guys use? What's your favorite one?
Man, I'm just a big kid, right? So we love a skid steer, and it's a loader. It's what we use to load trucks. We do grading with it, and it was the first piece of equipment I bought. So.
Yeah, and you're just out there on job sites living your childhood
I'm just
dream.
living I'm just a big kid in a big sandbox. Not much has changed. So
What's one of your favorite jobs you've done?
that's a great question. Commercial. We did a podium deck off Northwest Highway for an apartment complex, and man, just it was really, how do I want to put this? Man, I'm a nerd when it comes to this stuff. I love this stuff. It's so cool. It was a great opportunity for us to get into elevated decks, and that's probably my favorite commercial job we've done, it was about a 10,000 square foot elevated deck. So cars park underneath it, and then 3 floors are built on top of it.
Oh, cool.
So it's a suspended concrete deck.
Yeah.
So on the residential side, we have a job going right now that's it's our largest job by dollar value, and it's really gonna. We feel really blessed to have been awarded the job and to be trusted by this family. It's almost $2 million, and when it's done, it's gonna allow us to showcase every aspect of who we are and what we can do, and just the opportunity to build something of that scale, and of that level of detail. We feel really fortunate to be a part of it, and it's going to be a great showcase for us. So,
well, congrats on that.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up with the final question,
Yeah.
because you're not on the internet anywhere,
Right.
for anybody who is looking for either concrete help or some type of landscaping help, where do they find you? How do they contact you?
I could just do I hit drop the link? Is this I hit that?
Drop your link.
Yeah. So they can reach me on my personal cell, which is a great way to do it. Or Tammy, who runs our office. She always answers the phone. I try to always answer the phone. And they can give us a call, and we'd love to come out and see them and help them. So.
All right. Well, what's the number?
So let's stick with office number because she always answers. It's 817-201-0245. So give Miss Tammy a call. She's wonderful. Horseshoe wouldn't be Horseshoe without her, and she'll get you taken care of, and she'll get you in contact with me. So,
cool.
Yeah.
And then the last thing that I always like to wrap up with is for our entrepreneurs who are either current or aspiring to be one. What's the best general piece of advice you can give them?
The biggest. I'll give them my mistake, which is the piece of advice, is I did not prep myself. I kind of just jumped into it. And a lot of people get excited about, I'm going to start my business. And the biggest mistake is I didn't, all a business is a process, right? It's a process. You look at Amazon, it's a process from you clicking order all the way to it comes to your doorstep. And you are the architect of your business in that process. And incredible businesses have incredible architects, and that's the founder and owner. And then, of course, the people they hire to help them grow and develop it. My biggest piece of advice is, ask yourself, who do you want to be? How are you going to get there? And what does it look like at 20 employees? What does your business look like at 30 employees? What do you need? What processes and functions do you need when you envision? If you envision, whether you're in the accounting business or you're in the construction business, ask yourself, what would my business look like if I had 20 employees? How would it operate? Who does what? And start there. And that can be that's kind of a loaded piece of advice because that can be tough if you've never been there. But if you worked for somebody, generally, I asked them, I said, look, you've worked for somebody. Okay? Sit down and ask yourself, what do you not like about where you work right now? And why? And draw from there. And what would you fix at your current place of employment? And start architecting that's a great place to start. If you could fix anything where you work, what would you do?
Yeah.
And so that's probably the biggest thing I've seen is people get going, they're excited. Man, I got a website. All right, I'm ready to go. And they go out, they go sell. A lot of business owners are great salesmen, right? And they start selling and they look up and they're like, man, I don't even have a checklist for my employees. Like they don't even know what they need to do to succeed.
Yeah.
So building the business on the front end as much as you feel like you can would be my biggest piece of advice.
Yeah, I think that's good. Anybody who is listening that does have a business, especially the larger they get,
Yeah.
they know the processes. If you don't have a process in place, it is probably the biggest headache you could possibly run into as a business owner.
Man,
it's one of them, and it's not.
It's like walking out on your balcony of a 35-foot floor apartment complex, and you're falling all day. You never hit the pavement.
Yeah.
But it's just chaos the whole way. And it's tough to be successful without great processes.
Yeah. Great insight, Blake. We appreciate you coming on. Thanks very much.
Absolutely, I appreciate it, Troy. Thanks for having me.